Welcome back, everyone. It's the Aces AFL show.
No, straight off the top. Look,
Just cutting me off.
I'm cutting it. No, look,
You've stuffed this up enough.
there's an
Don't
elephant
stuff
in
this
the
up.
room. I want to address it. It's been a heavy load on my shoulders, and I've just got to get rid of it before we start the show. Before you start with that amazing
Demanding
energy,
the top of the show.
You're cutting me off on the intro.
I'm
I was
cutting
just
you off
about
on the
to just
intro.
Bring in Daisy. And
mate.
Liz.
There's an elephant in the room.
Oh,
I can't.
what
He
are
had
you-
history to play 100
I'm,
games at Collingwood and Carlton. He didn't even get to it.
I'm going to making a formal apology
Good.
to the Knox Footy Club. But please, Tom, Daisy, bear with me.
Piss off.
Oh, boy. The podium is getting christened.
To the mighty Knox Footy Club, I write to you, not as a champion, nor a punting prophet, but as the poor soul who single-handedly shattered the $17,000 dream. Yes, it was me. The final leg, the last hope, the human definition of close, but no cigar. I still don't know where it all went wrong. The stats look good. The form was there. Mercury wasn't even in retrograde. And yet, disaster. Some say I choked. Others say it was just bad luck. I want someone to blame. I'm going with the umps. So that 17K that will never be seen. I think about you often. You could have bought the Knox Football Club new gear, paid for an all-time footy trip, maybe even upgraded the deep fryer in the canteen. But alas, my bet was the sporting equivalent of a hamstring in the warm-up. Please accept my sincere and mildly confused apologies. I promise to make it up to you all. I'll strive to get back on the horse, put my best foot forward, and not let the Aces team and the community at large down again. Yours truly, from Punting Purgatory, for now, Mitch Wallace.
Oh, boy. What did you think of
Well,
that,
was
Daisy?
good.
It was very
Hey,
shaky.
Chat GPT, write me a
Was that
sorry
a bit of
speech.
Chat GPT there from the Kevin's boy?
Chat GBT.
Is that a Chat VGT?
Nah, that was from the heart. Look, I'm sincere. Seriously, I meant every word of that Knox Footy Club. It was the last leg,
Jesus.
Sunday
They don't care,
afternoon.
mate. They don't care about the
There has to be context. Because I don't know about you boys, but it was a very frustrating watch on Sunday.
I didn't even think he was playing in the first quarter when I was watching.
There you go.
Where were you
There
watching
go.
from?
I was watching from my living room. I put the
Mansion.
kids firmly in front of, I think it was Toys 2 or Cars 2.
Boys.
No, Toys 2.
Toy Story.
Cars 2.
Sounds like you're doing a hell of a job of parenting, mate.
I glued to the screen. I didn't want any. I locked the door and it just wasn't meant to be.
Oh, it was just brutal. I couldn't believe it, but it was
thought
Marek,
it was the
Marek
week.
from West Coast. It was like he saw our propeller and said, not this week,
He's a
fellas.
good drawn boy as well.
Mate, he's going.
He's in good
is
form
he? Your
too.
local boy,
Yeah.
mate. He's in great form, but he was he made his life tough. The big fog.
And then texting out before the game. I thought
Maybe
this was
Texan
just...
playing would have helped the fog more. Just I don't know. He kicks bags when
Everybody else was kicking goals, and the only time I'd see the fog was just trotting down the wide shot of the camera. It's like, oh,
He's the
boy.
best man. With the fog carried us at gather round, so it just
No,
hurt.
look, it happens. It happens.
It
It's
does,
no
it
one's
does.
fault.
Yeah, he's still...
Well, it is. It's Wal's fault.
It
He
is.
should have just taken Adelaide by
Ownership,
1,000.
Anyway, Tom, you can start again, though.
Well, welcome back everyone. The Aces AFL show, the most electrifying man ever played football, Daisy Thomas,
I'm
and
here.
the man that let everyone down last week, especially the Knox Football Club. In fact, we normally just put it on the graveyard, but I thought this week, where are you, Butler? It's your time to return the Butlers back.
Oh, what are you
put
doing?
the Knox Football Club on the graveyard, but instead of that, he's going to
Oh.
put a cover photo over the top.
What is that?
Hold that, Wal, or are you going to put it straight up? Wal, hold that. Look at the Butler just not breaking stride. A little display there for you. You go on the graveyard with them. So, Butler, let him do his job. He's dressed very nicely there. And
Do you just take this bloke around with you? Is this how it
The
works?
yeah. I've whistled. I didn't have to whistle that time. Oh, who's up there? Oh,
Butler's-
Daisy.
oh, boy. Daisy,
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so you boys have. Oh, there you go. But that's outstanding work.
Thanks,
So, what
yeah,
we've
thanks,
got on the
Butler.
graveyard is a lot of
Expect
clubs.
a call from me lawyers.
But now we
Butler.
have Daisy and Wal covering the two clubs that they let down. And you should remember their name, Daisy.
Yeah. Old bloody knackers. And the boys
That is
down there.
disgraceful not remembering your
No,
club.
I remember it was. Actually, I won't say.
You
who
cost
it
them
was.
24,000.
You're the
Harry
host.
Warren, Magpies.
No.
That's the one.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, we
It
keep
was.
going, but boys, it is heartbreaking stuff.
Married.
As we said, we have friends there at PointsBet. We've come up with this concept at the start of the year, 1,000 for a local footy club, and it was the surest thing. It was as due as it's. I was actually thinking about, we were actually
My
discussing.
phone was in meltdown.
What about Wal going, boys, can we get there on Wednesday, on Thursday?
We're putting forward the days in which we were delivering the
I
cash.
put the agenda together. I put the agenda of the timeline, the butler driving us there in the bloody limo, the sausage sizzle.
So anyway,
not meant to be.
we're going to keep moving, and we're going to reset, and we're going to hit it this week. I can feel it. The energy is there, but that was heartbreaking stuff. Let's talk about the Cats win in a thriller against the Dogs. There was not much going on. I thought Bailey Smith, he held himself nice. I thought he'd struggle. I thought they'd run a tag. They could not handle his running ability, his power. That's as good a response as you'll see. And I wonder later in the year if they play each other, there's got to be more attention to him because that's the reason they lost in the end. I thought him and Holmes just dominated.
Yeah, and it was a great showcase of football. Yeah. Thursday night, we had a Prophet Propeller bet in Jeremy Cameron.
The easiest watch of all time.
Oh, mate, and he dominated. But yeah, Bailey Smith, well done to Bailey. He stood up, full fronted on all the aspects. There was no real tough stuff, like you said. But he's running power, him and Holmes, and then you got Jeremy up forward kicking goals. Look, I think the Dogs did really well to get themselves back in the game. That second quarter was quite poor, but yeah, just a showcasing of a great game from both clubs and a really good Thursday night watch.
Well, the reality is the Bont, he only had the 23. He was probably the difference. They held him to he didn't have much impact on the game, and that's the difference in the game. So
it's hard to win down there, though.
I know it is. I know it is. Fremantle beat him in a final. It's not that hard. You can do it. I just thought Geelong were better on the day, mate, and we probably didn't talk about.
You're right. No, your side was absolutely horrific, and they need to be
Mitch
better.
Duncan's 300th. We didn't give him enough love. So well done to Mitchie. We forgot about that because of the Baslinka returning to his former side. So
great man.
Great. That'll be just keep your eyes on that one. That'll be happening again later in the year. I don't know when, but I'm looking forward to that. But no real biffs. The Dogs just said, we'll keep it clean. What about the Lions just delivering a huge blow to the Hawks? The Lions, we forget that they won the flag, don't we? I reckon no one's talked or tipped them. I'd love to know where you had them in your rankings there, Daisy. They weren't right up there, though, I don't reckon.
They were, it's interesting because their last fortnight before this game, though, was question marks. They'd drawn with North Melbourne down in Hobart, and then they'd lost to Melbourne, who at that point were somewhat still going like busted. So, look, they have so much scope and upside. I don't think, and I'm certainly not concerned about it. It's when you aren't able to flick the switch and win. So some of their wins, they were just doing enough. They were slow out the blocks against the Bulldogs in gather round. Some of those performances, and when you are the best side in the comp, you get a little bit of that. You're not going to be up through the entirety of the year. They find themselves at 8 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. It's happy days still. They'll be fine. But it was nice to see them flex when they had to against a side who would have been chock-a-block full of confidence in beating them.
Are the Hawks in a little bit of strife? Because if you see their record without Day, it's crazy.
Yeah, Hawks is part of my must-watch for the ladder in the pod. But yeah, it's crazy, that stat. I think they're 16-4 with him. And
whatever. When he plays, they win. When he doesn't, they literally lose. So that's how I see it on that stat. It's crazy. But it's interesting to watch on the Hawks. Now, you just spoke about a team that beat the Lions up there. Are the D's back? Are they seriously back?
Well, yeah, they are. Well, the zipping 5 to start the year, gone 5-1 since. In those first 5 rounds, average 60 points or thereabouts per game. In the last 6 weeks where they've gone 5 wins and a loss, they've gotten up to about 90 points per game. Number one team in that period for contested pill differential. They've got back to their absolute best. Their forward line's still very makeshift. The back line's solid enough. Disco Turner looks like he's becoming a decent player, keeping Big Steak McDonald out of the side. It looks like, and I'm happy, I'm not sure where they finish or how it looks, but I'm delighted we're speaking about the Ds on their football performance now, which has been the first time for a long time because it's all been everything else, ups, downs, coach, whatever, players, yada, yada. Well done to the Ds for the turnaround. Hopefully they keep it continuing.
And Petrarca, Oliver, and then you talk about Keziah up forward. Like he's obviously putting together a ripper season. You know, he's nearly in all Australian form, but the return of their stars, Maxi obviously has always been a serviceman, putting in a really good season, but those two midfield stars, which so much of the weight and expectation on Melbourne all upon them. For them to come out, and Claria had 31 and was one of the best of fields, I think it's a really good step forward for them. And like you said, we touched on their draw. They've got a pretty good draw coming up in the next month. Why are you on the bandwagon?
Well, we've got a jersey here that I've been waiting to give away. They're a bit like Bitcoin.
Giveaway? What do you mean? You
guys got a bit of cryptocurrency? It's up and down like the Melbourne Demons, but right now it's flying.
What's the Bitcoin rate at the minute? Well, this morning when you got your butler, check it.
It's I think you get about $50,000 for your Bitcoin.
Jesus, candles extending.
$8, I thought. Anyway, We're going to give this away, boys. It's
How?
the first giveaway. I don't know how. I was thinking about, we love our YouTube at the moment and we love people to get in the comments and get into the show, and then it helps us shape the show. So I'm thinking best comment wins there, or we could do something on social media, Instagram, one of those two, but we'll discuss it off there. But you know what? Sharpie said to me, when we're flying, I want you to give away a jersey. We've still got another one on the set for later in the year. We have a fully signed Melbourne jersey here. You got the two skippers. It's the whole team on that one, and that is as good as it gets for timing.
Your boy kicked 2 snaggies after
Sharpie
coming
is
on.
a very good wingman, and he's a player that I feel like when he plays, he kicks a snag every single week. So there you go. Melbourne fans or AFL fans, we are giving away a signed Melbourne jersey, and they are red hot at the moment. So stay tuned for that one. We'll work out how you can win it, but it's time that we give something back. And speaking about giving back, I need to also maybe make an apology to Jai Caldwell in the Essendon Football Club.
What, you could actually
obviously,
see
it was a bit of tongue in cheek last week.
No,
There's some
wasn't. You
people
were
in
filthy.
the comments are really
No,
funny
you
with
were
that.
filthy.
Well, level 4, you normally just expect level 2 or 3 with those tickets.
Jesus.
I don't expect anything in life, but it's just kind of what happens. But I must apologise to Essendon Footy Club and Jai Caldwell, because those tickets, level 4, but they were as good as it gets. I could see the ground perfectly right on the rail. And a huge shout out to Angus Clark and his mates, Finn and all the Mount Gambier boys. They were all behind me. I had 20 of them right behind me, and they were going mad. And it didn't take long to work out who they were and where they were from. But Finn's a big fan of our potty, and I made sure that we'd give him a shout out and his mates. But they were in fine form, and their mate Clarkie, he is going to be a star. He looks a bit like Caddy, in fact, and he's obviously a bit younger. But he was just taking a few of those Richmond wingers deep and just manhandling him. 3 goals in a debut. Good country lad. Loved it.
Yeah, and dream time. And it was on the biggest stage that you can nearly get. So congratulations to him, and hopefully he's got a really long future ahead of him.
I said it in the broadcast. I rang his Glenelg under-18s coach just to have a yarn and to try and get some insight.
Yeah.
And his definition were words to the effect of hard, tough, courageous, good, honest, sheep shearing country kid. I was just like, if you want anything said about you, that is it. Was chopping firewood, selling it, giving half to the olds to cover their travel to get him to play footy. And that was when he was meant to be at school too. So we love that. A little bit of rat bag in him.
That's awesome. I saw
That's
a great
bio, isn't it? Imagine if that was on the AFL bio of what he is.
Yeah.
Oh, he should do it. But yeah, mate, I'm a big fan of his. I grew up barracking for the Dons, and my family were just thinking
so
he might be the
the
one.
Dons now.
We know it's 3 teams. It's Freo, Giants, and Dons. They're the 3, and then all your mates that play for the other teams, and they got milestones. You jump around.
So just those 3.
But no, those tickets are good. Level 4. So next time you get tickets from Essendon, just know that if it says level 4, don't stress. Now, Sammy Collins and Ross Lyon, a little bit of popcorn here. I'm not sure if it's Sam Collins and Gold Coast Suns, but it's gone to Sam Collins and Ross Lyon. A few little clips either way. I think it was the Nepo baby. I had to Google what that was. But let's just throw to a clip here and see what Sam Collins had to say when asked about the Nepo baby.
You probably saw the comments about the Suns being labelled the AFL's Nepo baby. Is that something that you guys are, I guess, going to look to use a bit of motivation throughout the rest of the season to try and, prove those guys wrong and just, fire up?
No, I don't think so. The last opinion of his I took was when he delisted me, so I don't care for his opinion anymore.
Oh, there you go, boys.
Oh, I love it.
What did you think of that?
That's
Big
great.
Colo.
No, because stand up for, again, we love this interaction. Coach to player is interesting because there's not too many of them, but to see Sam front it, be honest, up front, and, he's a strong grown man, and Ross just watch out.
Grown man.
You see his photos to when he was at Freo to the Suns. He's got the beard and the shaved head. He's an angry man.
How good he is.
Mate, I was there when he got delisted. I got the arse the next year, but he was our best player. We won a flag at the Peel Thunder. He was best and fairest at Peel. He was the best player we had at Peel. We won, as I said, you don't win a flag in Waffle for no reason. And when he was getting the arse, we couldn't believe it, and neither could he. And to see him go back to VFL, then get picked up and then win a club champion award. Yeah, I think it's runner-up once and maybe won it. Well, I'm not too sure, Daz. You have to check that. But he's vice-captain of the club and they are in the top 4 and they will probably be doing damage this year. It is an awesome story for someone that's been rejected. And all these players that played with him, including myself, knew that it was the wrong decision. And he wasn't handled the right way. And, it was good to see him sticking up for himself right there.
It's sort of the Constantina effect of, Harbuck first, then Mark Evans, and then Sam Collins. You can see that they're really attacking this as a united football club. So, look, it's a great story. They're going to continue to back it up with performances that they've been putting out in the track. But I think no longer do they want to be pushed around and shoved around. They want to be there. They want to be there at the end of the year in September and stand on their own 2 feet. So, look, hats off to them, but they just have to be consistent now in their approach to each game.
Club champion 2020, club champion 2024, and the All-Australian squad last year.
There you go. So he's a 2-timer. And
I
think he ran her up as well. So he's almost a 3-timer. But that's what I mean.
How old was he when he got? How old is he?
It was
now?
2017 when he got the arse from Fremantle from memory. But mate, he's got plenty of footy left in him. I'd say he's about 30. Moving on back to Fremantle, but the fullback and the skipper Alex Pearce gets off. I couldn't believe it. I wanted it. I couldn't. Well, it's just the way it's been going. You hit the head, you're gone.
Same with Paul Curtis. Like these things, we're talking. It's a football act. We've seen it before.
I thought he was just in all sorts, and when we all just deserve, we all thought this is bullshit. But he got off, and I'd love to know who his lawyer is because I think a few other clubs might want to hire him.
So it was a little bit wishy-washy what they said, but they say that every incident must be and is examined and determined on its own facts. So every situation is clearly broken down. Pearce's attempt to mark was entirely realistic, so he had full right to go for the footy. And then if it wasn't for Burne-Jones, he would have had a good opportunity to mark the ball. So that's saying we do not find this as a rough conduct.
It's just so confusing for the punter out there. But to keep it simple, I spoke to Pearcey, and the reason he got off was because they had a fair and reasonable play on the ball to mark it. Or to spoil it. And if he was a second later, they reckon that he would have been in strife. But the fact that he was there a bit earlier and it was kind of just the way it worked out, they got off.
Did they do that on timing?
Well, who knows? This is the thing. It's just
how
hard
many
to keep
of
up.
the people who have been reported before that now and suspended are sitting there going, I had a play on the ball. Why wasn't why haven't I got the same leniency? I love the fact that he hasn't been suspended and he's going to play. I have no idea how they've come to this conclusion. I get all the reasons, but as soon as you hit someone in the head and they're concussed, that's pretty much, or in the first 10 rounds of the season, been 3 weeks, bad luck.
Why is it 3 weeks and not a 15 grand fine?
It's a very good question.
Yeah.
It's a bigger reprimand penalty to get weeks than cash.
I think it's still the wrong thing if it's an accident.
I think that you could literally just have a case mounted that you have somebody sit there, 3 ex-players, flush it out of what is this? Like, is that unfair? Is that reasonable? Is that just a footballing act? Because this is going to continue to happen. And the fact that you sit there and go, it's 3 or none, like there's a discrepancy within itself. 1 or none, you probably cop. 3 or none is like
too severe.
It's complete other ends of the spectrum. We're still none the wiser. The tribunal's an absolute joke as always. And for good news for Freo and footy fans is for some reason there was common sense.
It certainly did. And speaking of Fremantle, I've gone to one of the best mids in the competition and said, can you join us on the pod today? We've got Caleb Serong in the house. Caleb, welcome to the podcast, mate. We're just picking it up on the Alex Pearce incident. He's got off. How good is that? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's good to finally be on, trainer. It was good. We were all the group chat went crazy last night when the verdict came through, and similar kind of sentiment around the game's not completely lost, and we've still got some contests that can be played out like the way it was on the weekend, and it's just a tough, hard contest, and I think it was very much agreed upon by the footy community. That was a footy incident, and it's good to see that the tribunal agreed.
Let's talk about your form, mate, and the club. It's just starting to heat up. You got the Giants done quite easily. You did really well last week. Your next patch is really important. We'll talk about this week coming up. But how do you think things are going at the club so far? You kind of started slow, but now you've found your mojo. Do you feel like you're now ready to go?
Yeah, I think we're building. I feel like we still haven't found our best form yet. And with the group that we've got, there's a lot of young guys in there that are still learning the kind of system and the game plan that I feel like week on week they'll continue to get better, and in turn we'll continue to get better. And you kind of want to be playing your best footy come the end of the year, but it felt like the start of the season was very much a roller coaster for us, and some of our best footy was really good. Like beat the Doggies, played some really good games, really good footy, but some of our poor footy was really bad and unacceptable. So we're trying to kind of even out those performances and lift our floor a little bit and make sure we're not having those down games like we were at the start of the year. And I feel like the last 3 weeks, even though we didn't kind of beat Collingwood, felt like that was kind of the start of some consistent footy for us. And one more leading into the bye, and then refresh and get ready for the second half of the year.
And in terms of your own personal performance, obviously you reached some really big highs last year and the year before, and now the expectation on you is obviously to perform at that elite level week in, week out. But how have you sort of, with your own internal sort of game, how have you sort of combated that up and down in form of the team? Because probably the expectation of you now is to be a leader, to help out Alex, who's your skipper. But is there anything that you've been doing to help that progression or to maintain that standard that you produced last year?
Yeah, I think something as a team that we try and do is try and win every day and get better every day. And individually, that's something that I try and live by as well. And you have that kind of focus of each day trying to find some way to get better, or kind of keep your focus very much in the moment. I feel like that gives you the best chance of staying present and getting better and continue to grow. But you're right, it has been a little bit tough, and individually I probably feel like I've been a little bit inconsistent this year in comparison to the last couple of years, and a little bit more attention as well this year with Andy and I getting a bit more attention to the midfield, which has been a good challenge. But I feel like on the weekend we showed some real growth and an ability for our midfield group to be able to deal with that. We had young guys really stepping up in Matt Johnson and Neil Erasmus, especially in the first half, with their ability to stand up when Andy and I weren't really having an impact. And then we were able to kind of work through that attention and impact the game a little bit more in the second half. But that kind of team aspect and team performance from our midfield group was really important on the weekend. And I feel like that's something that has been a bit of a focus through the first part of the year, is my ability to deal with a bit of attention and try and work through it and either have the best result for the team rather than not necessarily just having kicks, marks, touches, whatever it is, just having a net positive around stoppage and the game in general.
How much of these results and the variance is you guys and what you're doing versus the opposition? I'm sort of subscribing to the model this year that 1% or 2% off with the evenness of the comp probably means, 15, 20 points one way and then 20 points the other, which blows out to a 40-odd point margin.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's that's the beauty of AFL footy at the moment. It's a pretty tough caper when you're in it. You've got to rock up each week and know you've got to bring your absolute best to be able to get the result. But from a fan point of view and from a spectator point of view, it's pretty cool to know any given Sunday you can rock up and anyone can beat anyone, which is pretty cool to watch and be a part of. But that's the challenge of AFL footy, and that's why it's so tough to be able to go through a season and not have a couple of tough losses or have a performance here and there that isn't your best. So for us at the start of the year, it was pretty much every second week nearly that was happening, which isn't good enough. But I feel like if you can kind of smooth out those highs and lows a little bit and make sure that those performances are a lot more even, you're giving yourself the best chance week in, week out. And then in the end, opposition can do what they want, but you're really controlling what you can control and bringing your best, which is going to give you the best chance to get a result.
Are there some players that probably aren't getting the limelight in the media that are doing really good things at your club and progressing, behind closed doors and having influence that you want to pump up?
Through the midfield especially, Jono is one that I think on the weekend he had a bit more of an impact in terms of externally getting a little bit more love. He kicked a nice goal and had some impact in that first half especially, but his role play over especially the last 4 to 5 weeks, I really think he's taken a step up, and we've seen that throughout the preseason and training. So it's just been a natural progression for him to kind of see that in himself. And I guess that's a part of the leader's jobs, to be able to empower others to see what they can achieve. And I feel like he's someone that's really starting to, I guess, understand how good he can be. And we see it every day at training. He's so tough to tackle, to bring down. He's an inside mid, the way he's built and stuff, but he's playing a bit of wing time for us. So he's doing a really good job. And then another one's probably Carl Warner down back. I feel like he's someone that's got so much trust in the four walls. He's one of the toughest blokes going around. He always goes back to the flight. He can play on the smalls, but he can really impact and support in the air as well. And he's one that I've absolutely loved playing with since he's come back into the side this year, and had a pretty bad concussion to start the season last year and spent a bit of time out. But his ability just to own contests, whether it's on the ground or in the air down back's been I think it's helped guys like Lukey Ryan and Jordan Clark out because they haven't had to do it all down there. And he's kind of, I guess, bridging that gap a little bit, which is great.
Well said.
Now, what is with the number 20, mate? If you wear number 20, you're just built differently. There's something about you. We know Matt Tavernar had it. Now we've got our man Patrick Voss He's got the best chest in the business, but the best energy. You boys just need to feed him as many times as you can, because when he kicks a goal, it's as good as Archie Thompson when he kicks one on grand final day for victory. Talk to me about the Voss man.
Yeah, he's a bit of a cat. He's a weird unit, but he's someone that we absolutely love. He came in about 18 months ago, I reckon now, as a train-on during the pre-season, and I'd heard some things about him being an absolute weapon and some stuff from a few mates at Essendon. And he came in and he was off the grog. He was on the straight and narrow. He was working his backside off for the couple of months of pre-season. Didn't put a foot wrong, got himself a contract, and from there, you've just seen him grow day on day in terms of his maturity and I guess the way he goes about it professionally, but it doesn't take away his energy and playfulness around the football club, which is, as you guys all know, you need those kind of characters around the joint to really drive the culture and the energy. And it can be tough sometimes rocking up on a Monday after a tough loss, but when you got Vossy running around doing gags and taking the piss, it makes you put a smile on your face and has a laugh, which is great. And he's someone that we love playing with because, like you said, he brings a lot of energy. And when he kicks a goal or lays a big tackle, the chest comes out, the strut comes out, and he's running around. And you don't really know what he's going to do, but has put some smiles on faces, which is great. But he's when he first got the number 20 on his back, he was running around like he was the duck, like Matt Taverner. It was a bit of a he's a bit of a meme around the club, old Tabs. He's great value and everyone loves him, but he's got a bit of a weird kind of walk, as you'd know, trainer. And Vossy's got his own pat now, so he's often doing that around the club, which is good fun.
A bloke at the other end of the extrovert scale is probably Isaiah Dudley, but who decided to pair those two up to live together?
Well, Vossy knew him a little bit through his time. He spent a little bit of time in Adelaide at some point, so he knew him a little bit, and those two had a bit of a connection. So I think what Vossy did do well was he brought a bit out of Duds. It would have taken him a little bit longer to bring his personality out, but Vossy, he's one of those guys that he can get a bit of personality, a bit of energy out of anyone, which was, I think, the best thing for Duds, to be honest.
You work off a different time than, because obviously a 1:20 game at the MCG or this week is, what's that, make it 10 a.m. over in Perth. And I can, if it was me playing at 10 a.m. train, zero fucking chance of being motivated. Does that have anything to do with it?
Yeah, small margins, aren't they? But,
yeah. For the last couple of years, we dial into Docker Dial.
This makes me sick, the Docker Dial. When you try to catch up for a coffee with the boys, they give you the time and you don't know if it's Docker Dial or bloody normal dial.
I'm here for it. I need Docker Dial. Explain it a bit more because
we've got Wal Dial. He rolls in at 15 fast.
A Wal Dial is a Rolex. But I am fascinated about this because I don't think we give you guys enough credit for, one, having to travel every second week to the other side of the country, but two, these little margins that we, Collingwood play over there maybe once or twice a year, you have to worry about it. You guys are doing it every second weekend.
Yeah. With the time difference, it actually does have a bit of an impact, especially early games. Like you said, we got a 1:20 game this week in the Gold Coast, which is 11:20. I'm pretty sure Perth time, which is early for a game, especially if you look at it from a preparation point of view and fueling, for example. If you're 11:20, you're struggling to get two kind of good meals in to be able to fuel for the game. You're probably having breakfast and a snack, whereas if that's a 1:20 game, you're able to get brekkie lunch and be a bit more fueled and understand what your body needs a little bit more. You've got a bit more time there to be able to do it. So this week it's a bit more on the individual this week, and I know I am going to get on Gold Coast time and stay on that, but you can't really just jump on that and do it well straight away when you get there. So like this morning, woke up a little bit earlier. Last night, went to bed a little bit earlier. Tonight, similar, I'll probably go to bed around 8, try and wake up a bit earlier tomorrow before we fly out. So you get your body on a bit, you don't have to go the whole way, but kind of bridge that gap a little bit so you can kind of get there. But those later games, with the way we're flying at night. So to be able to kind of sleep and wake up at your normal times, I don't mind staying on WA time, especially for a 7 o'clock game at night or something. It's 5:40, so you still got the whole day to be able to prepare. So it's not too bad.
It's the longest trip in Australia, isn't it? From Perth to Brisbane or Perth to Gold Coast?
Yeah, it's a long trip.
Yeah.
It's well over 5 hours to get over there. So
you could be in Bali, could be anywhere.
There's plenty of cards going on. You want to get the chocolates when you play there. Now, this game is going to be Daisy and I's must-watch later on. But you got Matty Rao, you got Noah Anderson, your man Flanders, obviously you and Brayshaw. Hopefully we see a bit of Bolton inside. I mean, this will be a battle in the midfield. Are you looking forward to this one? And who's their best mid in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I obviously played a lot with and against Noah and Rowley through our juniors. We were the same kind of draft coming through, and we first played together in under 12s, the state stuff in under 12. So seeing them all the way through, which is so good to see them going so well now and kind of leading that footy club out of what's been a pretty tough time for them. So got a lot of respect for the way they go about it, and I'm good mates with Sammy Flanders as well from our Gippy Power days. But it's going to be a great battle. Obviously, we've got our kind of rucks and ruckmen that are not sure what it's going to look like with those two this week, and Sean's got tomorrow's training as well. But they've got Big Witsy, who's been dominating. He's such a big force in there for them. Gives them first look a lot, which allows their midfield to get to work and get really proactive. So it's going to be a great challenge, and hopefully we can continue our kind of improvement and consistency through the midfield against them this week, because I think it's going to be, as usual, with the midfield, it's where it's won and lost in there. So we're looking forward to it. But their best midfielder, it depends on what you're looking for. Noah's got the well-rounded game. Rowley's tough as nails. Runs all day.
Sending Corey Wagner to, if you're the coach? Who are you sending the new number one stopper in the business to?
It's a good question. I think we got a few guys. A couple of weeks ago, we had Johnson and Erasmus go to Tom Green, because he was a bit more of the big-bodied mid. And then Wag's gone to the bit more dynamic ones. So I reckon if we're going after Anderson, we might send Wagner. If we're going after one of the big boys, it might be one of the other guys. But that's unless they just go to head-to-head, lads.
Let us know if you're going head-to-head. We like the head-to-head.
Possessions apiece.
Yeah, we have seen that.
Shake your hand. See you at the end, boys.
Yeah. What are you doing from a calf point of view? I saw you the other night in at Marvel Stadium. My goodness. These calves on this fella.
You've not seen Lockie Neal?
No, I recken you've got Lockie Neal covered. These are
a calf off. You want a calf off?
I want a calf off. You'd have the best calves at the club by a mile, surely. They look like small footballs.
Well, I reckon Andy's got me for size potentially, but he doesn't have any definition. He just goes straight down to his ankles.
So it is he talking about? It is. I like this. So what about on Gold Coast team?
Yeah,
is that the best?
I've been pretty lucky, to be honest, with the calves. Haven't had to do a heap to get a bit of size on them, to be honest. So
don't bring up calves around me, boys. It brings back bad memories. Do you think you got, just before we close out, but Lockie Neal's definitely got the biggest calves. Yours aren't as big as his.
Yeah, he's like, because obviously he was at Freo, and a few of the physios and strength staff were there when he was there, and they still talk about his calf raise test that he blew up when he was here. So he's got it covered, I reckon.
Fraser Garrick's doing 180 on the bench, and Lockie Neal's pumping out calf raises.
He does also have
board
two
for that one.
You've
got to get the on board for that.
All right, mate. Well, thank you again.
Thanks,
Good on you, mate.
Yeah,
Caleb
thanks
Serong
again.
from the Fremantle Dockers. Cheers, brother. Appreciate it.
Hey, mate. Good luck this weekend.
It's time to talk about this week's footy, round 12. Let's dive straight in, because it's going to be a cracker. And, we have a few teams on bye, and I think they might need a spell. The Dogs, Port, North, and Carlton all on bye. So we start to get into the bye week. But to kick us off this week is an interesting game. It's Thursday night football, and it's Brisbane hosting the Dons. If I have a look on my PointsBet app here, I think you can get $9.
$9 head-to-head for the Bombers.
It's probably the most value you ever. $8.50 it is. And someone's had a little go at it. It was $9 earlier. The line at 42.5. But just, I don't want to talk about every game this week, but that one there, we love our Thursday, Friday night games. Is this going to be a bit ugly for Essendon?
Do a short break for the Lions. Do they rest a few? That's my
I don't
only.
think you can afford to rest, can you? You need to bank these wins.
With their age profile, who have you got that are older players? You've got Leicester, Zorko.
Just anyone who saw. You would have had games penciled in. I guess, what have they got? The bye coming up in another month. Adelaide away, GWS.
They're a young side. They don't need a rest.
Adelaide, GWS and Geelong in the next three leading up to the bye after this. I don't know. Just a little watch for me if you are going to play the line markets at 44.5 or 42.5 and the under-overs. Just something to consider.
I heard Lockie Neal talk on radio the other day, and he was talking about the inconsistencies within game of Brisbane, having good halves and doing enough to get wins. Yeah. And I think the priority for them would be to try and get a four-quarter performance. So in terms of resting players, I think they're going to go beyond that and say, we need to start playing our best footy, and what a way to start on Thursday night. So, yeah, to your point, I reckon they're going to go full steam ahead and they're going to get it done comfortably. Essendon, just too inconsistent. A good game at of the one that you went to, Dreamtime at the G. They did well. Merritt starred. You said Clark, who kicked 3.
Just on that though, as I said, great tickets, level 4, could see the ground perfectly. They just struggle with ball movement.
Yep.
They go sideways. When they do go through the guts, they score, but they just don't have something in the back half.
Playing, which is
I know that. I'm just saying when they can get some,
but that's why.
I know. But when they have the ball going through the corridor, they are electric. But it's just once they go slow and allow the defense just to set up. Mate, you got to understand, Richmond had their genuine seconds out there. No Bolter, no Nank, and no Lynch. And yet it was tight with not long to it was, Essendon need to move the ball better because watching it live was kind of painful, to be honest.
And the Gabba, you need to move the ball well because of the ground and because there's the cricket pitch. You can explode out of the centre square and kick goals from centre clearance. So,
man, that's what they are good at. Essendon are very good at their contested ball. I feel like their midfield's very good. So it's going to be a good little battle.
What's the margin then? Sorry.
The margin's 40. I think Brisbane 50 plus, to be honest.
I'll take him. I'd be taking the under 1 to 39 market.
Love it. Righto, let's get to the Pies. It's the must-watch game for you, Wal. Hot Pies first. And the Hawks 6, but they need a big win. And if I look at my little Statmate here, Daisy, can you just read out a couple of specials here we've got? Because there's 2 that are staring at me, maybe even 3.
Josh Dacos is averaging 29.8 disposals per game at the MCG this season. He's $1.40 to cover the 25 plus. James Sicily, this is what I like. Being out of form, he's the skipper. He needs a big game. He's averaging 28.4 disposals versus the Pies in their last 5 meetings. This is according to our good friends at Statmate. He's $3.80 to have 25 or more.
Don't back it in, but
Staring at our little points bet Prophet Propeller that we're going to have for local communities, and $3.80 on that would really juice it up to your 40 or 50,000.
Marby or Charles kicked 2 goals in 5 of his last 6 at the MCG2. He's $2.40 to kick 2 or more. Big Babsy, 2 phones.
Mate, it's your best mate when it comes to building a multi or arming yourself with everything you need to know about a game of footy. Download it now on the App Store. While talk us through this big lineup against the Pies and Hawks.
So Friday night, May 30 at the G. If we talk about the odds, PointsBet have Collingwood at $1.59 and Hawthorn at $2.40. So again, there's a bit of discrepancy there. But we talk about Collingwood. They blew North well out of the water in that last quarter. Dacos, Nick, put on the clinic with 17 touches alone.
We haven't even discussed that. How did North not run with him?
I don't know. But
how do they give up?
Keep going, While we'll get back to that because we'll talk about their own bye.
And then you know what? No, put them in the graveyard. They were putrid. They were 3 points up or 3 points down at three-quarter time, and they gave up the first 6.
Well, maybe just stay there. But how can you not? Like you're finally in a game. You're playing against the number 1 side in the competition, which I love that North did this. But then you get blown out by 40 plus. It's at what point does the penny drop?
What an opportunity.
I actually believe in that list.
That's probably been brushed over too easily this week, the performance from North Melbourne. We've spoken a lot about how good Collingwood was with their outs and who played. To be in the game well and truly, 3 points the margin at three-quarter time and then to be smoked. I could cop 3-4 goals. I get it. Collingwood are a better side. They were going to be more experienced. Nick Dacos gets off the chain. But how? Well, you kick 8 goals to 2 in the last quarter, first 6 out of three-quarter time.
They've got role players, North, that can lock down.
It was frustrating.
This is where the leaders are within the quarter. If you sense something going wrong,
but is it the leaders? Are we still going to the leaders, or with North, is it they just don't have anything after? Because you can't,
I don't reckon I've ever seen a player that's been asked to tag someone or go to them, allow them to blow out because the whole team's locked. It's clearly not. Yeah. I mean, if unless we're wrong and North actually had a tag on or had someone running with Nick Dacos and he did what he did in the second half, but there's no way knowing that happened. And it's just you get to the point where you're like, I actually want to see North and Gold Coast do really well. Yep. I'm sick of seeing them down the bottom. Yeah. And it's games like that as a fan. If you are a fan, we've got plenty of mates that are. They probably get sucked in, going, oh, hang on. We're going to win, and then bang, lose by 40.
The old honourable losses. It's not even that anymore.
You just need to win them. At some point, you need to win them.
You need to grow up. You need to mature. Yeah. But before we'll get back on track here. Yeah. Ned Long, 17 tackles. We talk about Matt Rowell and his prowess around the ball. Ned Long's, he's sort of tracking that way.
Netty Nars.
Big boy.
He's a big boy. He's a real big sort of strapping lad.
Oh, yeah.
But an interesting stat, they're averaging 69 points against, so their defense is going really, really
the
well.
Pies.
Yeah, that's the Pies.
That's very stingy.
And then we've got Jamie Elliott in career best form, another bag of 5.
He's flying, isn't he?
Working his backside off too. If you get a chance to see him live, watch how hard he works. He's hard and fit.
Why aren't we putting him as a little propeller lock then?
Yeah, I don't know. He gets injured from time to time.
But you've got Pendle, Steele, the skipper, and then Bobby Hill, who was a laid out on the weekend to come back into that side. So, look, there's a lot of upside. And Hawthorn, talk about some alarm bells now. There's some concerns there.
Alarm bells.
Alarm bells are nearly ringing. So look at these numbers. So minus 17 in clearance, minus 18 in contested possession, and minus 23 in tackles last week.
They got taught a lesson by the champs.
They got taught a lesson by Brisbane, but something's off. And we talked about Will Day's absence and that effect that it's having. But it's starting to now be 2 at the forefront. So they need someone to fill that gap. There's just too many passengers. And we look at these names. So Watson, Gunson, McGuinness, Ginnivan and Moore only produced 2 goals on the weekend. So there's some really quality forward line players that kicked 2 goals. So, I'm going hard.
But haven't missed too many here.
No, but we need more from them. Because I wanted Hawthorn. I want Hawthorn. I want this to be a big final at the end of the year, Collingwood versus Hawthorn. But they need to turn their season around, Hawthorn, and they have to start this week.
Who are you tipping?
I'm tipping Collingwood.
I'm going with the Hawks.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Wow, hang on a second.
Well, 3 big weeks for the Pies. Make it 4 with the loss to Geelong.
Yep.
And then they've got players coming back, yes. Hawthorn, their ball movement isn't that far away, like off being really slick. It's a little bit clunky at the minute. Watched enough tape. I'll be doing this game. They're going to be more than competitive. The line goes up. You're about an 8.5 start. You can have for the Hawks 240 head-to-head. I think that represents the value in this one.
And I love your calls, and you've been fantastic. Yes. I'm going to remind people that Daisy said he thinks Collingwood's got a better list than when they won the flag. He said Suns, they're flying. But this one right here, it staggers me as a Pies man that you think Hawks will bounce back after. To be honest, I look at their midfield and I think if you can lock down Newcombe, you can almost win the game.
Yeah, I may be wrong, but just sort of a bit of a feel watching their missed opportunities against the Brisbane Lions. And sometimes when you come up and you want to be the best, you come up against sides who are there and you get a real lesson of what hard work is, what work rate is from a midfield point of view, what ball use is. I think that's lessons that they have learnt the last 2 weeks, and a little bit of that loss against the Gold Coast Suns, who played up at TIO very well, but last week in particular against the Lions.
Hawks did play really well against the Suns, so this will be a cracker. I'm going to go with the Pies just because they are the top dog at the moment and they haven't done anything wrong. But to be honest, Daisy, what you're saying, they're well coached, they're well drilled, and if they do get it in the forward line, they've got little wizards, pun unintended, there to get done. And like you mentioned, the blokes that didn't kick goals last week, they'll be hungry this week on primetime television. And Daisy, you'll be covering that one.
I will. I'll be there. Make sure you tune in.
That'll be elite. Well, we keep moving. Must watches. Me and Daisy have got a joint one. We've got something later on. By the way, boys, there's another guest joining us. I don't think I've told you. But there's a lot of sport going on in Melbourne this weekend. There's a few teams on by. So I've got a little special guest that...
a non-footballing sport?
No, it's a football sport.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, can you clarify? Yeah.
It's the round ball. And one of the best players to ever put on the boots in Melbourne. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. But Daisy, break down our must-watch together.
Yeah, it is going to be the game between Fremantle and the Gold Coast Suns. We go to the traditional time slot of 1:15, 1:20 at People's First Stadium, which, oh my goodness, what is that for a time slot? Anyway, you have to deal with it. Gold Coast Suns going really well. We know that. 3rd on the ladder. Currently had a good couple of wins, obviously against the Western Bulldogs. They then rolled the Hawks, and good enough against St Kilda to find a win. Fremantle, then Geelong is their next fortnight before they get to the bye. I just feel they've got to start ticking these off, continue to tick these off. St Kilda away was a good win. They didn't need to do it pretty. It wasn't. They just need to find ways. But for Freo, this is where my intrigue is. If they can find a way to win, so they're currently 9th. We've all spoken about them as being pretty average so far, disappointing. I've been on that bus for sure. If they can find a way to win this, get to the bye, reset, and then out of the bye, North Melbourne, Essendon, St Kilda, all at home. So you're looking at a side that's been horrible. Potentially, if they win this in the 8, and then if you can do what you have to over the next month, that is season set right up. Back half wins are the key. Back third of the season wins. So maybe they are just sort of cruising along nicely. Have to get over the Gold Coast Suns away, which is Not easy, but that's why it's a must-watch.
I love it. And we heard from Caleb earlier about who he would, go to and who what the matchups might be. But Noah Anderson, I feel like he just kills teams and he just gets to roll around. I'd kind of be flat if JL didn't put someone on him. Like, this is a big game. This is, as you said, their run home. We knew this at the start of the year. It's why I tipped them top 4. I think a lot of people tipped them top 4. They've got the softest run home out of anyone. But if they can beat the Suns up there when they're, the Suns are 9-2 at People's First Stadium since the start of 2024, if they can get this one done, I think you've got to take Noah Anderson out of the equation. I know Matt Rowell's a beast, and there's a few others in there, but you can't really stop contested ball. But you can stop the easy ones. You can stop the chains and all that. Noah Anderson, if you just let him have 35 and kick one, I think it's poor coaching. So if he can lock up Noah Anderson and Caleb and Andy can get to work, then it's going to be a tough day. I mean, our man Sam Collins plays his old side. He'll have his work cut out for him with Big Tracy up there.
$3.10 head-to-head Freo are.
Great value from PointsBet.
Considering the line sits at about 3 goals.
And now that Alex Pearce is playing, I think Alex Pearce will make King's Day hell. He's a tough matchup, Alex Pearce. If you're out there, listen, punters, if you're out there and you think, oh, beautiful, the Coleman medalist favourite's going to kick a few, Alex Pearce doesn't allow blokes to kick goals on him. He won't kick more than 2 goals this week, King. I'll give you now.
Wow.
Well, he doesn't.
This is not financial advice, and don't take it to the bank.
And imagine there's going to be a fair bit of adrenaline too because he's had a big week.
Well, he'd be up and about. But who'd they play last week? I mean, how many did he kick? George Yard just kicked 3. I don't think he was playing on him. Finn Layson, 1-2.
Darcy Byrne-Jones was playing on him. He's still asleep.
King will be circled on Moose's wall, and he'll be trying to put him to sleep. And they're the matchups. Noah Anderson for mine. You need to put him to sleep if you're Fremantle, and King needs to be done. And then it comes down to Tracy and Collins. I'm looking forward to those 3.
I just think a lot of things have to go right for Freo, and it's a long journey. Caleb said before, it's a 5.5 hour flight.
The sun's shining. They love it up there.
But then you got Docker time or Docker Dial, and they're playing at 11 o'clock in the morning, mate.
Great insight though, Docker Dial.
Yeah, great insight.
And his calves.
The Docker Dial needs to go.
Well, I hope Caleb plays well because he's a star of the show. So
he's
our guy.
He's on fire.
But I can't say I can see Gold Coast winning comfortably
Gold
at
Coast
home.
win this. It's honestly, you're starting to talk about home prelims, to be honest. They go to 36 points on the ladder, depending on how Adelaide and Geelong go this week.
It's exciting for them. They
really
have to start believing, and they've gone with the Detroit Pistons, Buddy Bad Boys theme or whatever it is. It's working.
I just love that we're talking about them for a long time there, and I don't go down a path like.
Tell you what, imagine if they finish second, Brisbane finish third, and it's a Brisbane v Gold Coast prelim at People's First Stadium.
They'd have a packed stadium.
Well, they'd have it packed, but the 15,000 I'm not sure the AFL would be pumped with. Anyway, that's a long way down the road. That's probably too negative. Go Suns, etc.
Yep.
I'll tell you what my must-watch is. That's why my must-watch wasn't on the sheet. Yeah. It's the Melbourne Derby Grand Final between Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory, and we're joined by royalty. We don't just throw that word out lightly. No. Archie Thompson in the house.
Real royalty.
How are you, Arch?
Real royalty.
Hey, that's how are we?
Wow.
Real good?
Christ.
Mate. To be so lucky.
Hang on, how does this happen?
Well, me and Archie go way back. We had a little PlayStation game a few years ago when we started American Aces called Lockdown League, and we lost the footage, didn't we, Arch? I think you beat me, so I told him to delete the footage and we won't put it up.
That's right. Yeah. I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah,
that's right.
That was in the glory days. But, mate, talk to us. This is massive. I mean, a Melbourne Derby Grand Final. It's crazy. How is it all going?
Mate, it's good, to be honest. Very lucky, I guess, for Melbourne Victory to be there. I mean, they had to go across the Tasman to beat a very, very good Auckland team. And look, Melbourne City probably already had one foot in the final after their first leg, 3-0 sort of demolition of West United. And then they just pretty much had to turn up for the second leg. And, mate, I actually said this before the finals, that the way that things were tracking, we could see a Melbourne Derby for a finals. And then how it all kind of worked out with the final game of the season, teams lost, teams won, and then it kind of was in the right place that whoever sort of won their games, that could have been a possibility. And this is the first Melbourne Derby. I played against Melbourne City in a semi-final to get into a grand final once before, but to see it unfold like it has, and tickets sold out pretty quick being at Amy Park within the first couple of days, first couple of hours, I think, of it being online. So it's amazing.
Worked out well too with none of the AFL around in Melbourne on the weekend as well. But it wasn't
because you'll find a way of stuffing us up.
No, we've looked after you. We've looked after you, Arch. We're like the world game. Get them in here.
Hang on. Yeah, well, you guys are different. But I think our last final, when it was played at Amy Park, we had an opportunity to go and play it at Marvel because we knew it was going to be a big game against Sydney FC. And I can't remember what a game it was. It was some shit game. I think it was Doggies versus St Kilda.
Oh, Doggies. I think one would have been running around.
It was a shit game.
That would have been huge. Speaking of a must watch.
But this is when they weren't doing so great. But then they said, "Oh no, we're not moving the game for that." Like, and it might have been like, I can't even remember the round. So thanks, boys, for having our backs and getting me on here.
Do you think it's time they change the name of Joe Master Medal to Archie Thompson Medal? Because there's been no man that's kicked 5 snags in a GF. And just on that, have you seen a better performance yet to date?
In world soccer?
No. No, I don't think I have, man. But you know what?
Well, who wins it? Who wins the medal?
It could be anything. It could be the goalkeeper that pulls up 100 saves and then someone nicks it right at the end. Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying. it could be the midfielder that dominates the midfield, and then it could be like a winger that gets the ball and entertains the whole grand final. Or it could be that dull of grand final and just it could be a tap in, and whoever scores a tap in wins it. I mean, it's hard to pick it.
It's quick fire. You've got to be quick.
How do they go?
No, you went well. Ready? So just quick fire. Is it City or Victory winning? Go.
Melbourne Victory, man.
And is it going to be over 2.5 goals or under?
I don't think it will be, man. It's got to be under 2.5.
Oh, I love it. And when you kick 5, what was your favourite one of the 5?
I was there that night, Arch.
Oh, mate. Oh, yeah, bro.
At Telstra Dome or Colonial or whatever it was, and you just started taking the absolute piss.
Might have been Eddie had that time.
You had 4 blokes on you at one point. You dribbled through them and smacked one in the back.
What was your favourite one of the 5? Talk me through it. I know you still watch it.
All tap-ins, mate. They're all just...
piss off.
Come on, mate.
Were you annoyed that Christian Sarkis came on as a sub and ruined your perfect night by banging one through?
Mate, killed me. He killed me. and then to top it off, he kisses the Prime Minister on the top of the head in the celebration when we got the medal. So can't compete.
Well, I just want to say thanks so much for joining us. 262 appearances for Victory, 3 flags and 5 snags in a grand final. This is going to be elite, mate. We're going to back you in with what you said and hopefully see you soon. Thanks so much for jumping on and joining us on Oz American Aces, mate.
Cheers, lads. Thank you.
Oh, there you go, boys. Archie, he's a good man, Archie. Talk about energy. He's your energy man, isn't he?
I like pronunciation. If you watch the coverage, Archie will be seeing. At one point, he'll just be referencing how easy his name is to say as opposed to others. But the market is interesting. That's where, if I am looking at other sports, I do tend to have a nice little wager to responsibly, of course, to have some interest. Victory are $3.20 head-to-head.
Yeah, I know. And like you said, you can get the draw for $3.50 as well. With the over-under's 2.5. So that's why I asked if it was going to be high scoring or low scoring because, we all love high scoring, more opportunities. But, just the 2.5. And he reckons it might be a low scoring affair. So maybe we see a Melbourne Victory 2-0 or 1-0.
Yeah.
Is that what we're thinking, Dave?
Something like that.
Well, we'll talk to Wal about our Punters Club later. We've got our People's Punters Club coming up that I'll update you all on at the end when we get to our favourite segment. But, boys, we'll just skip over a couple of other games. Just want a quick tip here. Sydney, Adelaide. This one's in Sydney.
This is where, and I'll disclose here because we will get the Prophet Propeller, but this is a game where I'm very keen to be on the Adelaide Crows.
I like it.
We can touch on it more in a moment, but Sydney were horrible. Adelaide are flying.
I like it. And it's the Jordan Dawson Cup.
Oh, yeah,
former side. So
talk about informed. Jeez, our man, bloody Dawes.
He is flying.
Yeah,
Another 10 coaches votes on the weekend. Yes. We've had some great guests on here that have then gone very well. It's maybe a little bit of an omen for the boys to just keep jumping on. I think Caleb Serong, keep your eyes on him. No doubt he'll dominate this week.
The most self-indulgent piece of podcasting I've ever heard, us taking responsibility for some of the best players. And I couldn't be more for it, Tom.
Melbourne, St Kilda, you think Melbourne gets the chocolates there. And then the one that I've got my eyes on, we've skipped over the Giants and Richmond. That should be an easy win for the Giants. Belt to ass is what our man Jebby said from 100K last night to Toby's face. He goes, Toby, is it just belt to ass? And Toby, I think he was a bit rattled with that one, but it was just imagine the coach coming and said, "Boys, we're playing Richmond this week. It's belter."
That's great.
Leather or $2.
Leather to butt cheek. Wow.
And then, you'd think this would be a blowout as well. We've got the Cats going over to Perth. Daisy, do you think they'll rest a few players, do you?
Again, this is the time of year. So if you are, you want to be playing your multis or whatever it is, just factor some of these things in as to, I'm not sure if Jeremy Cameron, for instance, he's one of the older players in good form, but just.
When's their bye?
Their bye comes up in 5 weeks.
Oh, so that's.
And they've had a couple of hard trips. They've been over to Adelaide as well. I thought the interesting thing in this was that the West Coast Eagles go up at $7. So Essendon are a bigger outsider against Brisbane than West Coast are against Geelong.
And Geelong's got a nice break. They played last Thursday, so that's a Sunday game. So it's a juicy little 9-10. What is it, 10 days? Yeah. So that's a funny one there, Days. Well, before we get into one of our favourite segments, the Prophet Propeller, that has been heartbreaking. If you can see behind me, or whether you're listening, we have the graveyard. Well, there's people that listen to the podcast and there's people that watch it. And for the listeners, we have that Prophet Propeller graveyard, and it's just looking a bit like it's going to run out of room soon because there's too many clubs on there.
Get your man Alan to make a bigger screen.
Quietly, boys, how does it feel to have your heads over the top of a local footy club and you've cost them $20,000?
It's still too raw for mine. Yeah, I'm still hours old, and hopefully Knox have accepted my apology. But like you do always, can you say that there's still a chance?
There's a pulse. There's always a pulse. Let me just have a little. Yep, there's a pulse this week. I can feel it. The momentum. You're due. You're due, boys. We're due.
Else, we're due.
Well, before we get to the Propeller and we lock them in this week and we go again, geez, it was exciting though. Well, if we're gonna give you any positive, it was you picking the last game so we could, or the Sunday game, so we could just wait all night Saturday and just G up. But the punishment, we haven't really spoken about the punishment. Where are we at with the punishment? We know Daisy ticked off the Flyers in the full kit, therefore you'd have to wear the full fog kit. Or do you want to go down another route? There's clearly a lot of DMs from all the angry Knox Football Club and Netball Club members. They want to see you maybe play netball or football. You're in great shape. I must say your pipes look very good.
This is the thing. So after your half-ass apology that you made about your biceps. No, not that one. That one today was fantastic. But you're
Bill Shorten
just sort of went out, got the guns and the footy.
Jeez, there's a bit of me as an apology, wasn't
so
it?
all the lads have texted in saying, why doesn't he then, the self-indulgent one who's pretty happy with the condition he's in, come down and cook for the football and netball club in his Western Bulldog / Fog Speedos on a Thursday night, a sausage sizzle, and you have to provide the sausages.
Wow, there's layers to this.
Hang on a second. So you want him in the Speedos handing out sausages
I don't
in
want
winter?
him. This is not what I'm suggesting. This is what's been put forth to me.
Wow. Have I got any say in this, by the way?
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
It's your body.
No, I think it is.
It's your body.
It's your body.
Jeez.
I think.
Well, you know what I mean? He's standing out there in the middle of winter with Speedos on.
He's standing out there on a Sunday after just costing aside 17 grand with a singlet on.
Would you put the boots on maybe as well? I mean, that's an option as well.
Look, I think
cook sausages in his jocks and the boots. That's going to be weird.
No, I definitely will venture down to Knox Footy Club.
Oh, you will?
No, I'll go and
Have they
I'll
got a
show
helipad?
support. Have they got a helipad? No. Have they got a valet parking? No, no. But seriously, I'm willing to go down and help out. I'm not sure what. We'll get in contact with the ambassador or the.
Yep.
Or the.
I've got him there online.
Is it the CEO or the ambassador?
We've got a bit of everything now.
The president.
He must have got the wrong bloke.
Not really CEO. You're not running a business out of Knox Footy Club, I would have thought. But no, we'll talk to the president, see if I can come down and show face, and if there is a sausage sizzle, I'll help out. The attire. Let's finally tune the contract.
I didn't say it was.
So you're thinking of handing out snags in your Speedos.
No, I didn't say anything about Speedos.
I think Speedos and boots would be outstanding. But you've got the rig for it. If I had the rig like you, I wouldn't think that's a punishment. That's almost like a bit of,
Mate, it'd be 4 degrees.
I think the sausage sizzle in the Speedos.
Stop, why do you keep bringing this Speedos up?
I think it's a funny concept. It'd be very good viewing.
Well, at least if it's not Speedos, it's a full Adelaide kit.
Yeah, no, it's a kit. There's a kit. There has to be something.
We'll get my man down there at Knox
and you have to hand out
a
a few flyers at the big shopping centre down there.
A double. So you're going to he has to do double your punishment.
Yeah. Mine was in gather round.
Yeah, but mate, to be honest, if you want a bit of me, I reckon you enjoyed that. You would. There you go. Everyone knew who you were. You're in your actual home kit. No, there's no Lipinski number.
I'm writing this down so I don't change. So Adelaide kit.
Yeah.
And help with the sausage sizzle.
Or dog speedos and rig out for an hour. I think that's quite funny. The rig's in good nick. If it was me or Daisy, we'd want to put a skivvy on.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of spare rash vests.
Think about it. Sit on it. Hey, anyone out there, get in the comments on YouTube. Let us know.
Get in the YouTube comments below, and if your best suggestion is the one we pick, you can have your Melbourne top. Thoughts, discussions, queries, questions.
Happy for that, but I want a lot of people discussing. I don't want to give away a Melbourne top just for someone to say, yep, have a sausage sizzle. If I'm honest. This is a signed jersey, Daisy. This club is flying. They might be playing finals after the weekend.
When I said that, I was expecting like hundreds of comments. You were the one that
if we get hundreds of okay, we'll cap it. 50 comments on YouTube, and that jump is going away with the best comment. 50 comments. There you go. Get in the comments. All right. Well, it's time. It's time. We ran the show out with this segment, our favourite segment, our points bet, Prophet Propeller. We are into week 12. We've had 2 near misses. That's fine. Every time we've put this on, it's 16 plus grand. So, we go into week 12 now, and if we win, we're still ahead, is how I look at it. Daisy, is there a speech? Is there something? Because it's been working.
Clinical.
Business this week.
It's business.
It's business. Time for actions, not words.
Well, I'll start us off then.
No, I'll start us off with a few words. Fuck.
No. Start us off with... No, let's dive straight into it.
Go straight into it. Why will you kick us off? Because you let us down.
I did let us down.
You did.
So I'm going to Friday night. Stuff the arse into the week because there's too much pressure on coming to Sunday afternoon.
The pies and the hock.
The pies and the hock ball. I'm going for our man, actually, Steel Sidebottom, plus 25 touches at $2.10. Now, he's had a rest. He's been in good form.
The disposal market's juicy.
It is juicy. But to get 25, I reckon, just with how Hawthorn are operating around the pill, I reckon he'll have a day out. He'll get his 25 quite early. He's going to be rested. He's a fan of the show, so he's going to help me out here, and it's going to be a good start.
He has been in good form.
He has been in good form.
All right, I like it. No, I'm not going to. No, I was just pulling faces there. I was down in it. I'm on board.
But it's my Prophet Propeller bet.
Come on,
you check with Statmate before you put it on is all I'll ask. As a good mate of yours, our best mate Statmate, have you checked with them before you've locked this in? Because you haven't locked it in, but I just want you to. This is me just doing a little bit more due diligence because I'm really toey for this to hit. I want us to drop the cash off, and I'd be just very flat as a leader of this pod, not to make sure that you've checked with our best mate.
I've checked, and I'm happy.
He's happy. Okay.
I'm very happy.
Well, if they say it's all good, then I'm happy as well.
I'm going to the Adelaide game as I insinuated before, Adelaide and Sydney. It is in Sydney. This is a market, I believe, that hasn't quite calculated to what's happening in the season. It is more just the algorithm. And every now and then you get one of these. A perfect example earlier in the year was North Melbourne and Sydney. They'd had close games. The line went up at 12.5 there, and Sydney won by about a zillion points. That's an easy watch. Adelaide are averaging 101 points per game, giving up 75. Adelaide's kicked 100 plus 6 times this year. The difference, and this is where the algorithm hasn't quite caught up, they've lost their last 6 to Sydney, and Sydney's kicked 100 plus in 4 of those. Sydney's kicked 100 plus once this year against North Melbourne. They can't score. They're shot to bits. The line went up here at 6.5. A goal. Adelaide just have to beat Sydney by a goal. That was $1.90. The good people at PointsBet, name your own line, pick your own line. 8.5 they have to cover here. So they have to win by 9 or more, and that'll be my $2 leg. Go the Crom.
Oh boy, I like it.
Wow. Yeah,
I do. Well, yeah, I'm a big fan of Adelaide, and they've been very stingy since gather round when we said you're letting teams score. They haven't allowed many teams to score. Okay, boys, I got one for you.
He's got a smell.
No. I've got something that's a bit like, and this is I've got 2, and I haven't locked it in yet because I've been sitting here waiting, and that's more of that feel.
Okay.
Feel. And it leans into a little bit of what Daisy said, because if Daisy's going to go well, then I'd imagine mine's going to go well if I go this route.
Right.
Do you want to hear what I'm thinking?
I do.
I'd love to hear that.
I'm thinking fog for 3.
Oh, there was a groan from another room.
There's a man at the door.
This is great because every time we've had this, I'd Sammy Walsh for 30, incorrect.
Callum Archie kicked 4 goals.
I know, you guys, you're emotional. There's
You're right. We bloody are.
McCartan will go to Thilthorpe, and Fogg will play deep, and this ground's tiny. And when you've got a mismatch I mean, who's plays on him? Rampy? Is it Rampy Fog? Is that the lineup?
Yeah.
If the ball's getting peppered in there 55 times, you don't think the Fog can kick 3?
Yeah, it'd be maybe Rampy goes to a Rochelle who's been in better form and needs to be taken out of it.
I just thought the Fog will bounce back.
No, I couldn't love this anymore. It's
a bit unfair on the Fog to go again.
It's not about him, it's about us.
But history suggests, like you said, the week after they're up on the Prophet Propeller, they always perform. So
there's a bit of there's juice though. It's like 345 here from PointsBet, so it will boost. There's a high risk play.
I love it.
It's a high risk play, and I am a big believer of the Fog, and I reckon you might be. Last week was tough, but he becomes the hero for the next club.
I love this. I like where this is going.
I did this about Antino on the weekend, and something I don't usually do. If this leg was $2.20, would you put it in?
Of course. I think Fog kicks 3 because I think
$3.40 isn't the issue. You think it's going to happen? That's extra cherry on top. If Antino was $2.50, I would have backed with confidence. $3.70, I was like, geez, what am I missing? Won by bloody 8 lengths.
No, I actually sat there and went, okay, well, McCartan, Thilthorpe, Rampy, I think he's got him in the
and this is going to catapult it.
It will juice it up. Now it's that or Stengel for 2 against West Coast which is
already cost you.
But he kicked. He's actually going to play deep. The West Coast, they are 18th on the ladder. It's going to be nice weather. I'll triple check the weather. But I've watched him closely the last month, and he plays very deep. Yeah. And when you're playing deep and the ball comes in there 60 times, that's a $2 play. So I'm putting it to you boys. Do you want me to lock in Fog?
Nah,
or do you want me to lock in
Stengel? I want you to.
I just thought, what theme would you like to go with? I can go the last game of the round and have all that pressure, or I can go the Fog for 3 and get it some juice. I don't mind a bit of juice. Got a couple of clubs up there.
Make a decision. Go.
I'm going to lock in the Fog for 3.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
Huge. And that's it. So we've got Adelaide need a win. He'll kick 3, and then you'll go and steal for 25. And now we spin it and we find out who's going to be who we're calling. Our new team is. Round of a little drum roll, please, guys. The new team on the Prophet Propeller is the Dingley Dingoes. There you go.
Whoa, a bit of alliteration there, Tom.
The Dingley Dingoes that's their name and that's their logo.
Dingley Dingoes. I love this.
So, boys, get up there. Let's close this show out. But before we finish, we'll get to our People's Punters Club in a second. Who spun it last week?
I spun it the last few weeks.
Well, it's been. Well, I think you keep the same thing. It's being positive. Now, when you spin it, give it a big one. Round 12, Prophet Propeller is going to be, here we go, Wal, it's off and running. The Prophet Propeller Week 12 winner, local football club, is going to be the Kangaroos. That's the Moorabbin Kangaroos. There you go. North Melbourne's on board, but it's all about the Moorabbin Kangaroos Football Club. We'll be giving the Kangas a call. And if you're the Port Arlington Football Club or you are the Glen Ira Griffins, I think you are. You're stiff. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, no, that's how you say it, mate.
What are they called?
The Griffins, I reckon that'd be.
The Griffins. So I can hear Tristan at the back as the tradie. He's had a laugh. He's had a gutful. There you go. So, hey, the Moorabbin Kangaroos, they are going to have a day out this week. We're going to call the president after this.
Yep.
Good luck, but there's a bit of juice there. I'm going to lock in the Fog for 3. Oh, geez.
There's a lot riding on this Crom game now.
How flat do you think the Fog will be when he sees his name on that again?
Nah, I've got good vibes. Good vibes only this
Saturday
week.
night. Yep, fantastic.
All right, boys. And there's one more thing to close out. The People's Punters Club. We've teamed up with all our friends there, and I have some mail, but we have Daisy's. Daisy's been eliminated.
Well, I didn't really understand the process, so I just wanted, but that's fine.
Well, the process is simple. Pick $1.50, and there was 12 of us in the Punters Club.
Well, what's the punishment for that?
The punishment. I'm not sure there is a punishment.
What the punishment is? Well, a weekend off.
So there's Billy Brownless eliminated, Dale Thomas eliminated. We also had our other friends eliminated. Bernie Vince eliminated. Dobe was eliminated from the 100K, but there's 6 remaining, and Jev was eliminated. So me and Wal, we're still remaining. So we've got to pick another $1.50 leg, and I imagine we hit it, and then we go again. But I think everyone comes back in once we hit.
The People's Punters Club is up and running.
Yep.
Great idea. Horrible start.
That's okay.
6 people lost and 6 people remain.
Yep.
The remaining people for this week are the 28-year-old male,
Yep.
Tommy Sheridan, Chocs Chats, Jules the Foxcatcher Valance, Mitch Wallace, and our man Carrots Morgan. Morgs,
Attaboy.
what is your leg of the week?
Give me Brad Close for one at $1.60.
Yep.
He's 100% his last 5 except for last week. So what do we like to say, Dust? You're either hot or you're due. So he's been hot for a month and now he's due, which is where we pounce, really. This should be a $1.30 leg, but 100% he's kicking one in Perth. It's a great leg.
Over to you, Tommy.
There you go. So make sure you get your $1.50 leg into our People's Punters Club and have that up on the PointsBet app. As you know, PointsBet built different. We've got this, tracker. I love tracking my NBA bets. I know we're an AFL show, but the 3-point market, I love it when that thing just gives me a little green tick.
What about tonight? But, big game tonight.
Tonight, State of Origin, when this comes out, I'm an anytime try scorer, man. It's the line's 39.5. It's meant to be low scoring. I'll be taking the overs. I love a bit of juice there.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great
May
weekend.
May your horses be fast and your profoppers be profitable.
And we'll see you right here next week on American Aces. Cheers.
Come on, ref, he's offside.
It's the biggest rivalry in Australian sport, State of Origin. And at PointsBet, if you place a head-to-head bet on Game 1 and your team is up at halftime, you win. That's right, back the shield-holding New South Wales Blues or the Maroons, and if they go into the break ahead, get paid out early as a winner. Check your account for personalised max stake limits. PointsBet, built different.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.